She thought she was untouchable until the restaurant's owner revealed a truth that left her speechless. The clink of silverware and the low murmur of conversations filled the elegant dining hall of La Belle Maison, one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants. Crystal chandeliers glowed like constellations above, their light bouncing across polished mahogany tables set with immaculate white linens. Every detail, from the folded napkins to the subtle floral arrangements, was curated to perfection. For most patrons, dining here was a rare indulgence, but for Veronica Harrington, it was merely another Tuesday evening. Veronica swept into the restaurant with an air that turned heads. Her gown shimmered beneath the soft light, a diamond necklace resting at her collarbone, and a designer clutch dangling from her manicured fingers. To those who didn't know her, she looked every bit the picture of refined elegance. But those who did knew that her wealth was matched only by her sharp tongue. Seated at her table were two of her closest friends, both eager to bask in the glow of Veronica's presence. Her laughter was loud, her tone commanding, her confidence absolute. Meanwhile, near the back of the room, a young waitress named Clara maneuvered between tables with careful precision. Her uniform was simple, her black apron tied snugly at her waist. Tucked behind her ear was a stray strand of hair she hadn't had the time to fix after rushing in for her evening shift. Clara worked tirelessly, often double shifts, to help her mother cover medical bills. Tonight was no different. Though her feet ached and her eyes were heavy from exhaustion, she carried herself with quiet determination. Before we go any further, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end. And if the story moves you, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with a friend. Now let's begin. It was inevitable that their paths would cross. When Clara approached Veronica's table with their own trays, she offered a warm, if weary, smile. "Here you are, ladies. I hope you enjoy your meal," she said, gently setting the plates down. Veronica arched an eyebrow as if offended by the mere act of being served. She glanced at her filet mignon, her lips curling with disdain. "Excuse me," she said loudly enough for nearby diners to hear. "Is this supposed to be medium rare? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks criminally overcooked." Clara blinked, her cheeks flushing. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll take it back to the kitchen and have it fixed right away." Veronica waved her hand dismissively, her diamond bracelets jingling. "Spare me the apology. Honestly," her friends erupted in laughter, basking in her theatrics. But across the room, an older gentleman sat alone at a corner table, quietly observing. His suit was modest, gray, and unassuming, yet his posture exuded quiet authority. His eyes never left the scene, though he made no move to intervene, yet. Clara returned moments later with a fresh plate, placing it down carefully in front of Veronica. "Here you are, ma'am. I had the chef prepare it again. I hope this is more to your liking." Veronica gave it a cursory glance and shrugged. "Well, I suppose it will do," she said, her voice dripping with dismissal. "Though next time, try to remember that your job is to meet the standards of your betters." Clara bit her lip, her forced smile faltering. She turned to leave, her heart heavy, when the quiet man in the corner finally rose from his seat. His movements were calm, deliberate. He approached the manager, whispered a few words, and the manager's face paled with recognition. The man then returned to his table, waiting. The evening carried on until Veronica and her friends requested the check. That's when the atmosphere shifted. The manager himself appeared at their table, accompanied by Clara, his expression composed, yet tense. In his hands was an envelope and a bottle of champagne. "Compliments of the house," he said evenly. Veronica smirked, mistaking the gesture as validation. "Well, it's about time someone acknowledged our patronage," she said, casting Clara a scornful glance, but the manager's next words silenced her. "This comes directly from the owner of La Belle Maison. He wished to personally address your evening." Confusion flickered across Veronica's face. "The owner?" she repeated, incredulous. At that moment, the man in the gray suit approached. The room grew still, conversations halting as every eye turned toward him. He stopped at Veronica's table, his presence calm yet commanding. "Yes," he said simply. "The owner. My name is Alexander Pierce, and this restaurant belongs to me." Veronica's smirk faltered, her posture stiffening. "Oh, Mr. Pierce, I didn't realize—" Alexander raised a hand, silencing her gently but firmly. He turned to Clara, who stood quietly to the side, her gaze lowered. "Clara is not just one of my staff," he said, his voice carrying across the room. "She is family to me, my goddaughter, and she is one of the hardest working young women I've ever known." The color drained from Veronica's face. Her friends exchanged nervous glances, their earlier laughter replaced with unease. Alexander continued, his tone never rising, but his words striking with precision. "I heard the way you spoke to her tonight, and while mistakes in service happen, cruelty is never acceptable. Wealth and privilege do not grant permission to belittle those who work to serve you." The restaurant was silent, every diner hanging on his words. "Respect," Alexander said, his gaze sweeping the room, "is the foundation of this establishment. Respect for the food, for the craft, and most importantly for the people. Chefs, waitstaff, dishwashers, who make your experience possible. Without them, this restaurant is nothing more than an empty hall." Veronica fumbled for a defense, her confidence unraveling. I didn't mean—" "Perhaps not," Alexander interrupted softly, "but intent does not erase impact. Words have weight, and tonight, yours cut deeper than you realize." He turned back to Clara, his expression softening. "You carried yourself with grace under unfair scrutiny. I am proud of you." Clara blinked back tears, nodding silently. Then Alexander looked back at Veronica, his tone steady. "The champagne and your bill for tonight will not be comped as a gesture to you. Instead, their value will be donated to a local foundation that supports women like Clara, those striving tirelessly for a better future." Gasps rippled through the restaurant. Some diners nodded in approval, others whispered in awe. Veronica's friends sat frozen, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Veronica herself looked small, her face flushed, her arrogance stripped away. Alexander straightened, his voice resonating with finality. "Let tonight serve as a reminder. Kindness costs nothing, but its absence can cost you everything." Soft applause filled the room, gentle but resolute. Diners nodded toward Clara, some offering warm smiles of encouragement. The energy in the restaurant had shifted, not about luxury or fine dining, but about humanity and dignity. Veronica sat in silence, her fingers trembling against her untouched glass. She had arrived expecting to command the evening, but instead she had been humbled in a way money could never shield her from. Later, as she exited into the crisp night air, her once confident stride was reduced to a hesitant shuffle. Her friends tried to soothe her with hollow words, but Veronica barely listened. For the first time in years, she felt something she couldn't quite name: shame. Inside, Clara resumed her duties with a lighter step, her smile more genuine. Patrons greeted her with kindness, some even leaving larger tips than usual. Alexander returned to his table, quiet once more, content not with victory, but with the knowledge that a lesson had been sown. Because in the end, it isn't status or wealth that defines you. It's how you treat those who cross your path, especially those who serve when no one else is watching. If you believe stories like this should be told, hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below because your voice matters too.